All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We've got people in the VR space. We've got people in the Zoom here. Thanks for coming in. And I think we've got people watching the YouTube live stream as well. So we've got three means of communication. So this is Australia's first Bitcoin meetup that we're calling a tribrid model. And hopefully we want to do this sort of once a month. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think it's going to be something that, well, it basically came out of the whole COVID thing and the lockdowns and, you know, having to do everything over Zoom. And I think a lot of people are a bit sick of Zoom, and the fact that we can have physical spaces connected now with a VR space, I think is pretty awesome. So if it all works and nothing breaks, I think tonight should be pretty cool. So I wanted to do a bit of an intro first. So we've got some of the team here that have been working on a number of Bitcoin projects, School of Bitcoin in particular, and Stacks Australia, which we're going to get into tonight. But I might just, actually, I'll do an intro for me, and then everyone else can sort of jump in. So you want to check out my deeds, it's all at katinolan.com. I've got all my stuff listed there, and my Twitter's at katinolan. But as for the rest of the team, I might just, hang on, stop share. Might just go around and do a bit of an intro. Karen, did you want to intro yourself first?
Okay. Hi, I'm Karen. I'm an experienced educator, and I've taught, had students from preschool to postgraduate level, and also worked with school principals too. I'm particularly interested in thinking and learning and how we can help children be their best selves and also live with their rights that they're entitled to.
That's awesome. Yeah. And Karen heads up the Korchak Association Australia, which is basically student rights, which is really important, and she's doing a great job at that. And yeah, we'll get into some of the de bono thinking routines that we're doing for the School of Bitcoin as well. Electra, did you want to give an intro for yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm a lecturer from Digital Playhouse. I'm supposed to be at Digital Playhouse right now, but didn't get in my car in time. So I'm on my phone on the way. And yeah, I just, work with Gordon at Digital Playhouse in making a space where people can get together and optimise their learning in emerging technologies and Bitcoin related possibilities.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Gordon, I know you're muted, but did you want to unmute and intro yourself? Oh, and Karen Cohen's here. Awesome. Hey, Karen. Another Karen.
Hello.
Good to see you.
I'm in the dark. Sorry.
You're on the phone as well. Nice.
Good one. It's great to have everyone here. Yeah, it's Gordon Christian from Digital Playhouse up in Agnes Water. So I do regular Bitcoin 101 education in our town here, and started Australia's first digital currency town. And we've emulated what Kieran did down south and created a tech learning space here in Agnes Water. And we're joined by Bernie, one of our local residents here. You could say hi, Bernie.
Hello.
Hey, Bernie. That's awesome.
Bitcoiner.
Very cool. So yeah, that's the core team that's been working on the School of Bitcoin. We have a wider team as well, but I'm not sure how many people can sort of join tonight, but we have people in VR as well, so it's pretty cool. I'll kick on then.
Oh yeah, Jill is in VR.
Oh, awesome. Very
how
cool.
She can speak if she can.
Very cool. Is that showing up okay for you guys? Yep. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a background on kind of how this came about and this idea and everything. A number of years ago, we set up a learning space built out of shipping containers. We had 4 shipping containers and got a 21 BTC donation, which actually allowed the students at the school to allocate the funds, actually vote, do authenticated voting and allocate the funds for that. I found this photo, which is like when we were constructing the space, and it's got Satoshi's white paper before we put it up on the walls. I'm like, oh, I got to share that. It's because I basically put a site together and kind of forgot about it. So it's schooontheblockchain.com.au, and it's did a really cool website where basically you'd navigate with the arrow keys on your keyboards instead of the mouse. It's like all arrow keys, and it takes you through the 4 spaces like as we were sort of building them. And I just totally forgot about it. I'm like, oh yeah, there's that website that I made that probably has all this cool stuff. So if you want to check it out, that's at that URL. But basically, one of the shipping containers we had decked out, we called, the kids dubbed it a telenaut center. And a telenaut is basically someone who puts on a VR headset like this and joins a space like we are in on my other screen. And basically what we did in the space was build on something called A-Frame. And A-Frame is essentially an open framework for developing virtual reality for the web. And in that VR space that we had, so in the shipping container, we had 2 really high-end computers connected, and the students would create these worlds that I thought were amazing. They were pretty sort of rudimentary for the time, but they could actually join each other in world through the web. And I thought, this is so much better than doing a Zoom or anything. And it was like, we made just a simple space with like a rotating rocket or something, and we were quite kind of proud of that. But in that time, we actually got, I love these photos, they're so funny, with the googly eyes on the headsets. It really makes a difference. But in that time, we got contacted by Immersive Education. So if you haven't heard of them, they're based out of Boston College over in America. And they contacted the director, who I'd actually been at a conference with like years ago, and we sort of stayed in touch. And he said, I was actually saying, have you checked out A-Frame? So I was catching up with him to show off like what we had been building. And he said, let me show you something. It's called Mozilla Hub. So basically built off A-Frame is these spaces where you can collaborate in virtual reality through the web. So what we actually did in this learning space was build a virtual school. So between us and students over in Nevada and New Mexico and Boston, they were all in lockdown at the time. So the school in New Mexico wasn't able to do their science fair. So we actually had students from Australia build a virtual school so that the kids over in America could do their science fair. And I thought, this is so mind blowing. Like this is 100% like the future, right? And that sort of went on for a few months, and it was really cool collaborative project that I don't think we would have been able to do if we didn't have that learning space, which kind of brings me to where we're at now. So I thought, utilizing all those skills that we sort of developed doing that, why don't we bring all the Bitcoin communities together in Australia using the same technology? So if you go to that URL, you'll be taken to and there's a photo of me wearing the headset. That was actually from a couple of months ago. We actually did a collaborative VR presentation for a Bitcoin conference over in Nigeria, which was really, really cool. And so we did that as a team in VR. But basically, yeah, if you jump into that, you can actually join in world, and you can talk to people and collaborate, and it's very, very cool. So I think we'll try and get as many people into that space as we move on as possible, and it's yeah, really fun. Basically, this is the concept I had in my head. So we've got the 3 spaces. I'm still yet to get a space in Victoria, but once I do, I think we'll make it like a physical space that connects to the 3 other spaces. So one in Queensland, one in Sydney, and then via Zoom, which points to, actually there's a missing piece in the middle there, points to YouTube, and then out to Mozilla Hubs and all the VR headsets that can connect. So part of the presentation tonight, we wanted to talk about education specifically and what we've been building with that. So the Digital Playhouse, I might get either Gordon or Electra to talk about the Digital Playhouse, if you wouldn't mind, and the foundation that we've been building with that.
Yeah, go ahead, Gordon. I've got a bit of noise going on behind me.
No worries.
Oh yeah, happy to do that. So yeah, we had this idea that we want to have a self-funded organisation to develop a tech learning centre based really around blockchain and Web3 and Agnes Water. So we had this idea of setting up Digital Playhouse Foundation, which would be basically just a Bitcoin native fund. So the idea would we'd have a forever fund to forever fund our project here, with the and it'd be based around an exponential crypto growth fund. So we went through a process of setting up Digital Playhouse Foundation. It's actually, we achieved a PBI status as a registered charity, and with a full DGR status. So any donations to the fund will be tax deductible. So we've started off with Lecturer and I, and now Kieran's on the board, and we've set up a Bitcoin fund, and we're starting to bring our operations into the Digital Playhouse Foundation. So the School of Bitcoin, we'll talk about Stacks Australia later, and the Digital Playhouse operations to kick off.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Gordon. We'll go into the School of Bitcoin, but I thought before we did, just on the education side of things, Karen, did you want to talk a little bit about the De Bono, like your experience with the De Bono thinking strategies and how you want to sort of implement them with the team?
Sure. I'll do it very briefly for now, but just to really focus on, if we're talking about the School of Bitcoin, looking at building financial literacy in young people. Financial literacy is not a subject on the curriculum, not something that children learn, and yet it's so relevant to their everyday lives, their real lives. And how can we help children understand about that? And one of De Bono's structures is aims, goals, and objectives, AGO, and talking with people of all ages, but kids especially. What would your aim be about money and money management, and about having your own money and what you do with it? And the aim might be, and I'll just talk off the top of my head, but it's best to get a group of kids together talking and coming up with lots of ideas, and they do. The aim is that I could have enough money that I don't have to go to mum and dad if I want to buy something or if I need something. And my goal, where I really want to get, is that, hey, I want to one day be independent, where I can manage money myself and understand what I'm doing. And objectives are sort of steps along the way. What steps have you got along the way to get there? Do you set a goal? What do you want to achieve by your next birthday, or in 6 months' time, or something like that? Because it's really great to be able to look at things along the way and think about, okay, am I making progress? Where can I go from here? Another one is consider all factors. When you're considering all factors involved in doing something like this, and well, at school, maybe they're not going to spend any time on things like management, and your parents might not be sure how you might go with it. Think about, how will it affect you, oneself? How will it affect you if you can manage money better, have real financial literacy, or build it over time? How does it affect other people, your family, your friends, people that you might, when you go into a shop and things like that? And what factors affect society in general? What does it mean to be able to manage money? And talking about human rights, children's rights I mentioned before, one of the big divides between children is those who have and those who have not. And if children could all have accessibility to learning about financial literacy and managing whatever they've got, or how they might be able to get a little bit more money and move forward, very, very important. And I'll just do one more for now. Consequences and sequels. If we really think about the consequences of the actions we take and the things we do, what's the immediate consequence if when we get some money, we don't spend it all at once? What would be the immediate consequence for that? What about medium term? Or long term? We're really looking back for what are those goals we have? And just having strategies like that promotes such rich discussion and can lead to purposeful action that can really help people understand things that they didn't understand before. I'll stop there for now.
Thanks heaps, Karen. That was really good. Looks like we've just had Jill join us in VR, and Village Robot, which will be Matt from New Zealand. So that's really cool. Yeah. That's a cool avatar you've picked, Jill. If you can hear me, the looks like a fox or something. Very cool. Yeah, so that's a Digital Playhouse as well. So the thing that we've all been working on is something called the School of Bitcoin. So we go to the schoolofbitcoin.com. You'll see all the work we've been looking at building an open curriculum there. And it's essentially an open curriculum that, well, here we go. An open project to build a dynamic consensus-driven curriculum specifically for financial literacy that has the ability to plug into any institution and support learners on problem and project-based learning journeys. So what that means essentially is, and this diagram may not mean much to anybody, but it means a lot to me. Basically, what we want to do is create a decentralized autonomous education system which that can basically run itself. So if you're familiar with the concept of a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, it's like that, but specifically for EDU. So what we want to have is basically what's called a stacking pool, which we're going to get into a little bit later, that will allow us to create a fund in BTC specifically over the Lightning Network to fund learner projects. So the idea is actually utilizing the Stacks blockchain and the Stacks network specifically for two things. So one, the fund aspect of it, but two, the certifications. So there's been a lot in the news recently about NFTs and the amount of scams that's been with NFTs, but it is actually really cool tech. So non-fungible tokens, like it's not all just people making JPEGs of monkeys and selling them. There is actually like some utility to that. And the specific thing we want to do with this project is utilize that tech to create certifications. So all the learners, which is all of us. So in the School of Bitcoin, there's no teachers, no students, only learners, because we're all learners and we're all learning about financial literacy. The certifications are NFTs, and that's what we're looking at building. The curriculum all built on GitHub, so it's all open source. Anyone can take it, fork it, and do what they like with it, as long as they're not making a profit from it. And the actual curriculum that we're building out is for financial literacy specifically. So when I say it's consensus driven, what that means is that NFT certification that a learner has earned from running through the course, they can actually utilize that one to either apply for a problem-based learning project or project-based learning project. Basically, the concept is I'm financially literate now to a degree. Now, what problem do you want to solve? And we have potentially funds and people that can help you build that dream out, sort of thing. But the consensus part for the curriculum is actually using that NFT cert to upgrade the curriculum. So say Karen Cohen, like you're pretty adept at blockchain, at Blockmum on Twitter. You could probably go through our course and pick out some stuff that you're like, oh no, this needs to be changed and updated. So you can use your NFT cert to submit changes for that, and then by consensus, so everyone agreeing upon that, it gets upgraded and gets bigger and bigger. So we're pretty excited about that, and excited about the prospect of this actually helping a lot of people around the world, I think. So this model could potentially be a system whereby an entire school goes, okay, we want to build out some new project or even a building or something, and assuming our pool's big enough, we could actually fund that right down to an individual. So the image down the bottom there is actually a tweet from a guy over in the Netherlands who's actually homeless, who learned about the Lightning Network over when he was at the airport. So he's kind of hiding out at the airport and learned about the Lightning Network from some girl that came along and said, oh yeah, I'll send you some Satoshis, you can learn about this. And he was playing some game that paid out in sats. So he's been teaching himself about that. So I got in contact with him, sent him some sats. I said, look, we're looking at building a curriculum. I think it'd be really useful for you to go through it. He's just on a phone in an airport on Twitter, but he obviously has a problem that he needs to address, and we could essentially help fund something that he can do, follow his dream, sort of thing. So I think this sort of model is really, if we can pull it off, is going to be something pretty cool. So that's a decentralized autonomous education system. Hopefully I explained that well enough. Now we have a provocation. This is actually Karen Morrison's idea. So learn a voice on the website. So if you click on the button, go to the schoolofbitcoin.com and click on learn a voice, you'll get a pop-up and there's a provocation there. And basically we're rewarding, I forget how many sats we said, but we've got Satoshi's good to go for whoever wins. So I think we'll probably vote between all of us on who the best submission is. But basically this is the provocation. So what does being independent mean to you? Actually, Karen, did you want to talk about this one, because it's kind of your idea?
I think that whatever we're doing for children shouldn't be adults for children, but adults and children working together. I mean, adults can have all the best intentions for young people, but do they really know what's important to them, what they want to do, and what's really relevant for them at the particular time of their lives? So having a learn a voice section on the webpage with different provocations at different times encourages young people to use their own voice and share the ideas that are going through their heads, their thoughts, their responses to the provocation, and also raise questions at different times that may help in the way this Bitcoin school, the School of Bitcoin, moves forward. If young people are saying, we need to learn more about such and such, or how could we? So having a section specifically for Learn a Voice really respects that what they have to say and what they're thinking is important too.
Yeah. What was your thinking with this provocation specifically?
Well, thinking about financial literacy, how many times do young people or people of all ages think that they can't do what they want to do because they just can't afford it? And what does it mean to be able to do things, what the things you really want to do, and what's stopping you, and what can you do about it, and things like that. So
yeah, beautiful. So yeah, if anyone in this wants to do a submission, or if you have any kids that want to do a submission, it's open to everyone. Like I said, we're all learners, so it's important for everybody. So that's the Learner Voice. Stacks Australia. So if you go to stacksaustralia.github.io, we've got a website built out for that. And like I said, we're building the School of Bitcoin on top of that. And if you haven't heard of Stacks, it's pretty cool. So there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies out there that are kind of fly by night. I know Solana went offline today. They've just shut it off, which is like, oh wow, well that's amazing. I thought a blockchain was never meant to shut off, but it seems to be all the time for Solana for some reason. But basically, Stacks has built something pretty cool where you can do smart contracts and NFTs, like I said, and authentication as well. So much like MetaMask on Ethereum, they've built that, but they've built it specifically on Bitcoin. And it's a project that's been around for a while that I kind of forgot about, because they used to be called Blockstacks, I think. And then I was like, oh, that's really cool. And we actually used it at school a while back, because they built out, they had basically a Google Docs, similar to Google Docs, where you could actually type together and you authenticate, and it was hashed on the blockchain. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then I kind of forgot. They rebranded as Stacks, and I think there was a podcast that popped up. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty awesome. That sounds like something that we could kind of build on, and then have the longevity of the Bitcoin blockchain specifically to build that out on. And that's the other point, going back to the School of Bitcoin. We are blockchain agnostic, so it's not a Bitcoin maximalist project. It is more looking at BTC as the main chain, and all the other blockchains as kind of test nets or forks of BTC that are quite important as well. And there's cool stuff happening on that. So just wanted to make sort of that clear. And I think Stacks is pretty awesome what they're doing with that. This is our website for Stacks Australia. There's a whole bunch of links on there. It's the same as we have with the School of Bitcoin, but basically there's resources, D-Work, which is really cool. Gordon, you've sort of found that. The Haro wallet link to that, which I highly recommend everybody downloading and having a play with, because it's pretty awesome. Just the stuff that you can do with it that's much like MetaMask, but I honestly think it's a bit more secure than MetaMask as well from the some of the stuff I've read recently. But Actually, Gordon, did you want to talk about D-Work? Because it was you that sort of found that.
Yeah, sure. I'm just actually typing and putting something in the chat there, and the link to D-Work. So yeah, D-Work is like a workspace for DAOs. So you can set up, you can set jobs up in there. So tasks that can be, you can attach bounties to those tasks if you like, or you don't have to offer any bounties. So it's just a space where it's a tool where communities can dish out allocate tasks, and people in the community can pick up those tasks.
Yeah,
so I think I've dropped the app in there. In the School of Bitcoin, we use it to form curriculum and and do various tasks in there, and we're just starting to build it out for stacks now.
Yeah.
So I've dropped the app there. I couldn't see that we've got any tasks there yet. We're just we need someone to take up the task of building out some tasks.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I thought it was such a cool concept. So basically, it uses stacks, uses Ethereum, I think BTC as well. But the fact that you can do these bounties for whatever it is, whether it's code, we're using it specifically for curriculum, so curriculum writing and rewarding people for writing that. And I think it's pretty awesome. We're also using the Hiro wallet for authentication. So I'll get into that in a second. But what we are doing as part of the project is setting up a stacking pool. So eventually, like I think Gordon, you were saying the Japanese team have got their own pool set up, so anybody can sort of contribute to that. I think that's on our roadmap. So if we can get this big enough, it can fund all those learner projects that we were talking about, but also have it not be sort of controlled by a third-party app. So we sort of build out our own thing for that. But for the interim, we're using something called Xverse, which is pretty cool. I've used it for a number of months now, and it's basically it's pretty straightforward. You put in your stacks, and then it converts that, or it gives you rewards in BTC, and you can just utilize that. So it's pretty awesome. But that's definitely on our roadmap. The Hiro wallets, I said, we're using for NFTs, so building those certifications, but also for authentication. So what we want to have is a test at the end of the curriculum, and we're looking at building that at the moment, actually. So one of our lead devs is over in Chicago, so I think it's a crazy time for him to be joining this. So I don't think he's jumping in, but he's having to play around with actually using Hiro to authenticate into the tests at the end. So you're actually utilizing the same tech that the whole thing's built on to authenticate as well. So using that NFT and using your wallet, so like MetaMask, but built on stacks for that. So that's going to be pretty awesome. I was going to get into mining as well, finally. So there's another project that I'm working on that's pretty exciting. So this is the first sort of unveiling of the website. So it's not 100% yet, but yeah, we're getting there anyway. And yeah, if you go to alphahashrate.com, that's our tagline. So Bitcoin mining made cool, which I really like because it's a sort of a double meaning to it. But basically, what we're looking at doing is using renewable energy specifically to make Bitcoin mining accessible to everybody in Australia specifically. So I've been mining with a group over in America called Compass for the last 6 months or so, which has been pretty cool. But the drawback is, my miner is on the other side of the world and I haven't really got access to it. So the problem we're sort of addressing is being able to have access to your miner, knowing it's secure in Australia, and making it easy as possible for an end user to be able to come along and say, oh, I want to start mining Bitcoin. How do I do it? We can sort of set it up for them, and it's theirs specifically. So I wanted to bring this chart up, and I think it's really important. It's something that's been overlooked a lot, particularly because we're in a bear market. You've probably seen a lot of charts of the price of BTC going down and the price of all these alts getting dragged down with it. But if you look at the Bitcoin hash rate, it's still up at all-time highs. And the hash rate, if you don't if you haven't heard that term before, is basically the power of the network. So you have these thousands of computers or millions of computers around the world, all competing to create the next block in the blockchain. And basically what that does is create security around that blockchain. So the more you mine, so the more people you have mining, the stronger the network is. And it's not really reflected in price. So the price in fiat is becoming increasingly meaningless when you look at the actual hash rate. So what we want to do with this project, and we're going to have an EDU component as well with the School of Bitcoin, because I think it's really overlooked and really important, because it really empowers individuals rather than just, you know, throwing some money at an exchange and saying, I want to buy some crypto or buy some BTC. You're actually creating it. And by creating it, you're helping one, build the network and secure the network as well. So it's really an empowering thing. So we came up with this term. So you probably heard the term dollar cost average before, which is cool. And a lot of people do that. That basically you just consistently buy BTC, whether it's $5 a month or, you know, $5 a week or whatever it is, and they just ignore the price, which is a pretty good method of doing things, but it doesn't really help the network. So going back to the hash rate, the best way to secure what you've or what you would have bought is by actually mining, right? So we're calling it miner cost average. I don't know if that's going to catch on or not, but MCA I kind of like. I think it's kind of cool. But basically the concept is like you're still getting your rewards every if you have a one of the latest miners, probably every day or two, and it's essentially the same thing as dollar cost averaging, but you're helping to secure the network as well. And we're going to write out a whole curriculum on that as well, and I think it's really important. The other thing that we're doing is something called immersion mining. So immersion mining is we have shipping containers set up for it in Adelaide, but basically it's submerging the miners in oil, and it's been done for years with like different servers and that sort of thing. But it basically kills all the noise, kills all the heat. So it's completely green in terms of noise and heat pollution. But we're also utilizing solar. So that whole narrative of Bitcoin being bad for the environment, we're aiming to sort of kill that with this project as well. So yeah, 100% clean energy. So we've got a solar array ready to go, and it's yeah, pretty exciting stuff. And the other thing that we've looked to achieve, and this is really important, I think, to me specifically, but I think to a lot of us, is being Australian owned. So I think there's a lot of companies out there sort of doing something similar all over the world, but there's nothing here. So we wanted to build something here, get certified as an Australian company, and build that out and make mining sort of accessible to everybody. Oh, questions. There we go. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I have, but I'll stop sharing. Did anyone have any questions? That's probably a million questions after all those smattering of information, but yeah, open the floor to anyone who wants to jump in. Questions in the chat. Oh, there's a lot. Karen, love an alternative to Google Docs. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. They actually in the it was like a couple of weeks ago, they demonstrated. No, it was at the Bitcoin conference Miami. They demonstrated over the Lightning Network, basically utilizing node to node, creating like a alternative, a complete suite alternative to Google Docs with no third party, and basically cost 1 sat to set it up between 2 parties over that. So it's pretty cool. That and IPFS, I think they utilize for that, with video conferencing as well. This is pretty cool. And just going through the chat. How's the VR's looking good? I'll give you, for those who haven't been in the VR, I'll give you this will be Inception. Give you a tour of what it actually looks like. Can you guys see that okay? Yeah. So this is, oh God, let's see if I can move around properly. And close that. Oh, I'm like stuck on a seat. There we go. Who have we got in here? Oh, someone dancing. Jeff. Sweet. So this space looked like there was a few more people in here before. Here's Jill. Hey, Jill. But yeah, that's got all of us up on the screen. There's about a minute delay, so you'll see us complete inception in a second. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So basically what we want to do is make this a monthly thing. I'm going to get a physical space here in Melbourne, much like they have in for the Digital Playhouse. And yeah, we'll get one in Sydney and then sort of come together as a group every month. So yeah, anyone who wants to present about anything they're doing in the Bitcoin space, more than welcome, and more than welcome to join the School Bitcoin project that we're doing as well, or anything else we're doing. So yeah, we might leave it at that then, eh?
I was just going to say, does anyone want to talk about where they're from, what projects they're doing?
Yeah.
Michael, great to have you join us. Thanks for posting it out into your Facebook group.
Yeah.
What's your Facebook group, Michael?
Yeah, look, I'm really impressed with what you guys are doing. And I was just thinking to myself that when you were speaking of Sydney, because we're based on the Central Coast, not far from Sydney, that yeah, definitely interested to attend the monthly meetings and get my head around and learn what you guys are doing. It sounds really, really good. And Gordon and Electra are just fantastic ambassadors for Bitcoin and putting us on the map here in Australia. So I'm happy to work in with these two absolute legends. Kieran, yeah,
man.
Look like a legend as well. And Karen, you know, like you guys look just fantastic. This is what Australia needs. And I'd love to bring more people to have a look at what you guys are doing and yeah,
awesome.
Learn more about it.
And sharing backwards, you've got a fairly large Facebook group down there on the coast.
Yeah, it's look, it's always growing, and it's growing totally organically. There's no push to grow it at all. It's just happening by people bringing other people, and yeah, we're happy to kind of put more stuff on the group pertaining to what you guys are doing here and introduce more people each month.
Awesome.
And your group, Michael, is decentralized
everything. Yeah.
And you guys are building a DAO or something like that?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about your project?
Well,
yeah,
you know, I'll present it. I'll present it in due course.
Okay.
We've got a lot. We've got a lot going on, and it's really fitting perfectly with what you guys are doing here. The mining stuff as well, Kieran. The mining stuff is really. I'm really interested in that. Big
awesome.
time.
Awesome.
That's
Well, we'll lock you in for a presentation for next month then.
Yeah, beautiful.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot going on the mining space with a lot of the green energy push and the ability to use Bitcoin to power, like to grow your green energy space as well.
Yeah,
it's so important. It really is.
I'll see you're on the chat, Leonie. How you doing? You have to unmute.
Yeah, I'm good. My name's Leonie, and I just happened to move to the town where Electra and Gordon are. So I've met them and yeah, love what they're doing. And I don't know where I fit yet, but I'm sure I'll find something.
Welcome. So endless family summer. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so in Agnes, we've had some of the kids, Leonie's kids are homeschoolers, so we have a homeschooler session here for a couple of hours a week. And we've had some of the homeschoolers have been doing the provocation, Karen, so you'll see some of the kids there jumping into, and they've also jumped in the School of Bitcoin without teaching them anything. They jumped into the virtual space. We had a look around there. Next thing, they're building out all their own spaces, their own virtual hubs to play around in. So it's a cool space for them to hang out and learn.
Definitely. Yeah, it's awesome. So good.
Nikita, where are you from?
Oh, well, I'm actually Mike's wife. It's actually Trace Ann. My daughter used to use this when she was in COVID, so she's changed my Zoom to her name, Nikita. I'm just wondering, is it possible? Can we please get the link to the data mining as well, please?
The which one?
The link that was for data mining, for the mining.
The alpha mining.
Yeah, the alpha mining.
All right, so it's alpha hash rate.
Yep. Sorry.
.com.
Thank you very much.
No worries. This will all go up on. Well, it's already on YouTube. We're live on
Excellent.
YouTube.
Great.
But
Awesome.
yeah. So there should be 2 videos up for that. So yeah,
Excellent.
all good. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm super excited about that. Who's VIP? I really want to know who that is.
That's Christy. She's also a part of Decentralize Everything. She's in our group as well. And so is
Cool.
Kat Bodie. They're both in
awesome.
our group as well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're great girls.
Calling yourself VIP. That's cool.
She's a VIP. She's amazing.
Love it. Well, thanks so much, guys. This is fantastic. I think if we can keep this up and utilize the space, we could even get if you wanted some students in at one point into the space like we have there, Gordon, and then do some sort of project or something, so it's not just a free-for-all madness in the VR space, but actually something constructive. I reckon that might be cool as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
Very, very cool. Oh, thanks very much, guys. We might leave it there, and then we'll do something next month, and I'll promote it properly next time as well. Thanks for picking that out, Karen. I had some spelling mistakes in my tweet, but all good.
Yeah,
Thanks
just
a lot, Kieran.
one thing I posted some links to the Discord for Stacks Australia.
Oh.
Obviously, Stacks Australia is a brand new brand new project. We're getting some funding from Stacks Australia hopefully soon, so we can build some things out and utilize that. So yeah, to build out a community, if you're I guess people are into Algorand, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Stacks is another blockchain. And if you want to help out, build out the Australian community, that would work towards things like hackathons or applications to, on the other side, if you're not a dev, to applications. So there's lots to be done there. So yeah, you can jump into Discord, and it's really only just one little channel in there. Nothing's going on in there yet. We need to build it out. But look forward to some. If you're interested, jump in and give us a hand. We'll build a community.
Oh yeah, good point. Gordon, promote the Discords. Yeah, I always forget to do that. So many different apps that we have.
The School of Bitcoin Discord that is there as well. So
beautiful. All right, well, we'll leave it there, guys, and we'll hopefully see everyone next month.
Cool.
Yep. Thanks
Thank
so much.
you.
Adios.
Bye.
Yeah.